Circumference of circles. So circumference is kind of like perimeter, but perimeter deals with polygons and circumference deals with circles. So polygon, perimeter, circumference, circle. So circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. Right? So if we would have a circular pen for chickens and we wanted to fence them in, what's the circumference? How much would we need to fence in our chickens? All right. So the formula for circumference is pi times d, where the diameter is the distance across the circle cutting through the center. So it goes from side to side and cuts through the center. That is the diameter. Just a refresher that from the center to one side is the radius. So that means the diameter is the same as 2 times the radius. In case we are given the radius, we simply multiply by 2, and that would give us the diameter. Now, one other thing to remember is pi. Pi is an irrational number that goes on forever. Your calculator probably has a pi button. If the question ever says give it exact, you're going to leave it in terms of the pi symbol. Some people estimate pi to be 22/7, but the most commonly used estimate for pi is 3.14. So we'll talk about this in a few different ways. All right, let's find our circumference. Let's find the circumference of the given circle. Find the exact and estimated value using 3.14 to 2 decimal places. Okay, so first things first, we know in this problem we are given the radius of 4. As mentioned on the previous slide, the diameter is 2 times the radius. So if I take 2 times 4, I get a diameter of 8 inches. So now I can find my exact answer. I know that the exact, okay, first let's start with formula. Circumference is pi times d. Pi times the diameter. If you struggle remembering formulas, I highly recommend you write the formula down first before you start plugging numbers in. It'll help you remember, and you'll make sure you're using the right one. All right, let's plug in what we know. We're using an exact, so I'm going to leave it in terms of the pi symbol, and the diameter is 8. So 8 pi inches is the exact circumference of this circle. Now let's use the estimated value. All right, we're going to use 3.14. So again, pi times the diameter. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 8. When I multiply those together, I end up with 25.12 inches. Okay, so that's using 3.14. Just for reference, if you use 22/7, you would get 25.1428. And if you just hit the pi button on your calculator, so if you hit 8 times pi, you get 25.1327, on and on and on. So you'll notice that all three of these are pretty close, but they're also slightly different because pi is irrational and we estimate when we use 22/7 or when we use 3.14. Let's do another one. Let's find the circumference, exact, and using 3.14. So we know in this problem, it gives us the diameter, right? Side to side, cutting through the middle. So for my exact value, we know the circumference is pi times d. So pi times the diameter of 12. So their circumference is 12 pi centimeters. Awesome. Now let's estimate. So again, we're using pi times diameter. So 3.14 times 12 gives me a value of 37.68 centimeters. Again, for reference, if we use 22/7, our calculator would give us 37.7142. Oh, it keeps going. And if we use the pi button, it gives us 37.6991. Of course, units is still centimeters. But again, you can see how these are similar but slightly different depending on the value we use for pi. So it's really important when you're dealing with circles, circumference, or area, that you pay attention to the directions and figure out what do they want. Do they want exact? Do they want 3.14? Do they want 22/7? Or do they not care? Read the directions, answer appropriately, pay attention to your formulas.